Undress Show. Yes, it's Wednesday night Undress, recorded in front of a mitigated semi-alive audience at Conroy's Emporium, where you can catch anything your heart desires. Hello, my fellow Undress. My name's Jeremy Taylor, and I'm here to host the talk show that pretends to care. So we're getting hundreds of hits every day still on the Undress website. Clearly, this underlines the notion that thousands of, you can even hear the bells, of folk who watch porn are in fact a seriously discriminating bunch. Our undressed but not entirely naked panel tonight include, still barred from scaring young Republican voters, Kathleen Taylor, the very wise Dr. Orlando, and of course the Dark Lord of European pheromones, Ivo Ionov.
Yes.
So what's been happening at Conroy's Emporium while I was in the old country? Yes, I've been away. I heard that one of Conroy's regulars was about to walk into the bar when he was stopped by a nun who was standing outside. She tells him, "Your drinking is the easy road to evil and damnation. Drink will pollute your body and soul," she said. "Give up the foul spirits and live a better life." And the regular looks at her and asks, "Well, how do you know that drinking's so bad for you?" The nun looks puzzled and shrugs. The regular asks, "Have you ever even tried a drink?" And the nun admits that she hasn't. So the regular says to her, "Look, I'll go into the bar and order myself a drink, and I'll get one for you too. And I'll bring it out here and you can taste it and see that alcohol is not as bad as you think." The nun reluctantly agrees, but says, "I don't want anybody out here getting the wrong idea about me. So would you mind bringing me the drink in a paper cup?" The drunk agrees to this and goes inside. At the bar, he asks Conroy for a double shot of whiskey and a second half shot in a paper cup. Conroy looks at him and groans. Says, "Is that damn nun outside again?"
Oh. Okay.
So, let's...
That's pretty good.
It's a bit sad, but,
Yeah.
keeps us going. Yes, well, yes. So let's get on with it. It's with much inconsequential feeling that I can muster from my intestinal nether tracts and regions that I approached our first subject, which is, in fact, chocolate. Now,
I'm not sure I want to approach it after you started talking about your
chocolate.
nether
Intestinal
region.
tracts.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
Now, chocolate, who doesn't like chocolate? So I was in the duty-free store in London the other day, and I saw a Toblerone. A fucking huge Toblerone.
That's what she said.
Or maybe 18 inches long. And I'm
18,
holding
that's
it now.
about right.
And
Yeah.
dark. Really dark.
Chocolate thunder.
All my life, I've been used to more of a creamy colour. All my life, I could get it in my mouth. I knew where I was.
Oh.
You know that special taste on the back of my throat when I've tried to take too much?
Jeremy.
Oh my
But this
God.
one was so big that I was forced to get creative to figure out how to use my fingers and tongue in a different way.
Oh my God.
I approached the Toblerone like the art form it is. It's challenging but satisfying, especially when it finally melts. What?
Oh,
You'd like to try
God.
some? Well, of course you would. Look, here
Not
you are.
now.
No, I
Here-
need a cigarette
you've got
now.
to try some now. This is dark Tobler. There's a piece for you, Evo.
Thank you, sir.
And a piece for Kathleen. A piece for our engineers coming. Well, I shouldn't probably use that word. There's two there. And I want to see what you think of it. What do you think of this darkness?
No, it's different. It's dark.
Can you get
dark
it in
chocolate.
your mouth first of all? I mean, Lewis.
Well,
Not
you
the
know,
whole thing.
No,
Not the whole thing, no.
the
The
full 18
mouthfeel is
inches.
fantastic.
No,
though.
I mean, because it's quite big, isn't it? Really. I'm not
Yeah.
used to the darkness of it.
It's really the girth, though, that
Yeah.
makes it so.
Quite so. Yeah,
And
you've got to
the-
deal with it a certain way, haven't you?
And the triangular shape doesn't help.
Yeah.
But-
yeah.
Toblerone is. I've never had the dark chocolate Toblerone, but it's kind of iconic in Europe. We've had your typical yellow packaging Toblerone that's milk chocolate and nougat and almonds, and I think honey. It's not as popular here, is it, in the United States? Are you guys familiar with Toblerone?
Oh yeah, well, I'm familiar
Always
with
have
it,
been?
but I am not at all sure that I came across a Toblerone before I went to college.
But you're right. A large percentage of the Western civilization is the milk chocolate variety. As
And-
How
opposed
do you
to
feel with black Toblerone in your mouth, Kath?
Sorry.
So
Uh-huh.
yeah, so we've had as a kid in Europe, you're growing up, Toblerone. I mean,
Right.
that's really as good as it gets for a kid when it comes to chocolate. And it was, I think the creator of Toblerone, his name was basically Tobler. Tobler, and he named it after himself. But the most popular products was obviously the milk chocolate Toblerone, and then there's the white chocolate Toblerone. You've had this, right?
And there's a fruit and nut one now.
Fruit and nut.
But I'd not had
albino,
black.
so to speak.
I liked the one that was called, I believe, was called the Snow Top, which was milk chocolate with a little bit of white chocolate on top of the triangle. It's like a mountain peak, and so they named it Snow Cap Toblerone, and that was really good. It's the first time ever I had the dark chocolate Toblerone. It's really, really good. But that got me thinking about like some famous brands that I've seen in Europe with very unexpected flavors.
Yeah.
For example, I've seen Pringles with shrimp flavored Pringles.
I'm sorry, say that
Okay.
again.
Shrimp
Shrimp-flavored
flavored
Pringles.
Pringles. I've seen
I know shrimp cocktail flavored crisps in the UK.
yeah.
Same thing.
Fries. What do you call crisps? Chips.
Yeah.
Crisps are potato chips. Crisps in England are potato chips here. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that in Japan they have Pepsi Cola that's yogurt flavored Pepsi Cola.
Oh.
And it's white. Its color, it's like clear, and it's yogurt flavored.
So
Pepsi.
what's the
Sounds
difference
like a
between that
dare.
and
It's
Yeah.
very popular there.
okay.
Then they have seaweeds chips. I know they have Pringles that are seaweed Pringles. There was a weird Doritos that I've seen in Turkey that was like yogurt Doritos or something. Yeah, pretty disgusting.
Biscuits and gravy
Biscuits and gravy.
in a Pringle.
But it doesn't
Wow.
have the same kick
Yeah,
as an 18-inch black
Toblerone.
Toblerone bar.
Yeah. Toblerone.
I can feel it
is,
at the back of my throat. Honestly, at the back, the sort of back of my mouth and back of my throat.
I
For
think.
certain.
I think that's a natural result from the dark chocolate.
Right.
That it's not exactly tingly, but it does leave an aftertaste that's a little bit different.
Yeah, Toblerones. It's. I think it's American now. As sacrilegious as it sounds, I think Toblerone has been acquired by Kraft.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
And so they manufacture it in the States now.
Oh no, that means the chocolate is a completely different quality.
Yeah, because it was Swiss for 100 years or so. It was from Switzerland, and they have. I know that they manufactured it in Bern in Switzerland, and they had very, very strict standards
Yeah.
of what kind of cocoa to use, what kind of chocolate, what kind of ingredients. So I don't know. Yeah.
Did you know that?
Oh, I was just gonna say it is still a Swiss company. It's just owned by Mondelez, which is Kraft.
Kraft.
Yeah, but they've done this before. They did it with Mars in the UK, and but the sort of seminal things like Toblerones will be changed. Cadbury's Easter eggs, the little Cadbury's, they've changed the chocolate and the inserts. It's just not right. It's just not right.
You know what they don't have here is the Kinder eggs.
Those things
Oh,
are
yeah.
the
Yeah.
best
They're so good.
ever.
The Kinder eggs are basically, this is a chocolate egg with a toy inside, and they are. If you're a child in Europe, you cannot grow up without these. And the toys
Sometimes
are
you
so
can't
good.
grow up
My
with one
American
because
brain
they're a
is
choking
confused.
hazard.
How would you ever use this food without eating the toy?
Well, that's the whole. Everybody
yeah.
has a friend who died, who choked
Yeah,
on
yeah.
a Kinder egg. I mean,
And-
it's just one of those things.
That's why
isn't it?
they're not available. They're
Yeah.
not available here because Americans are afraid that somebody's going to choke on the
Yeah,
toy.
we Europeans don't
They-
care.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
literally illegal in the United States, and if you're found crossing the border or going through an airport with them,
They'll be
you-
confiscated.
They confiscated, and you can be fined. Like you can
Yeah.
get fined $2,000.
Yeah, and it's really funny because in all these years, nobody has ever choked in Europe on those toys. And-
But certain people do choke on big Toblers, and I that's why I got it. I wanted to make sure that.
I knew we'd get back to that. Can we change subjects,
All right,
please?
I'm a horrified Brit on all sorts of levels.
you
but
gotta eat that Toblerone to completion.
yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yes. That's right. Take it all down. So horrified Brit on all sorts of levels, but should we be, and why am I? It's guns again. I just went through Heathrow, one of the top 5 airports in the world, handling 75 million passengers a year, and I never saw a gun, not one. Yet, there was a concealed carry permit holder trying to intervene in a domestic dispute. trying to disarm the fleeing shooter. Oh dear, he's dead. He didn't realize that the shooter is a serving army guy who knows how to use his weapon, and the guy was dead before he hit the ground. Then we heard about the 11-year-old boy from Talladega who heard noises upstairs when he thought there was someone upstairs. So he got a knife. Guy comes downstairs, ignores the boy, so the boy thinks, okay, and he picks up a handgun, and as the guy leaves the house, the boy fires off a number of rounds, I think 11. 12 rounds, was it?
One of which hit the guy.
He says, well, the guy's crying like a baby. Well, he's got a bullet in his leg. Of course he's going to scream. And this is the point. Anybody who's been anywhere near the military will know that when bullets hit people, people scream. They scream very loudly. And this is something that I miss in America. You don't get this on the news or on the films. You know, you hear to the helicopters and machine guns, and bullets go thunk, 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 and that's it. Nobody screams and writhes around as they die and shout
Person
for their
is
mother.
hit and they just fall over and that's it.
The point is, is it me or am I missing something? Why is it that people still use guns? If you fire off the standard Glock, a Glock 17 Mark IV, which is what the British military use, in here, and I point it towards the front of the building, it could hurt someone seriously in the car park, having gone through two walls. What am I missing?
So what are you saying? I mean, in this case, the boy actually defended the property and the home and maybe his life.
And then chased the guy outside, and he was letting this gun off outside in the yard.
As the guy was climbing over a fence running away.
Yeah.
And his 12th bullet that he was firing level in a neighborhood hit the guy. People might get trained on how to pull a trigger. They don't get trained on how not to pull a trigger.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, how about, could that be related to Amelia Hamilton? You know Amelia Hamilton?
No, don't know her name.
So there's a writer, a conservative think tank writer, who was commissioned by the NRA to rewrite all the famous fairy tales with Little Red Riding Hood, but with AK-47. So the grandmother has an AK-47. The Little Red Riding Hood has a gun. Hansel and Gretel, they kill the witch because they carry firearms. On the way there, while they're lost in the forest, they always also kill a 12-point buck. And these are true stories. These are true. You go and find those.
These truly are stories.
They wrote an entire book.
Ignoring the fact that the ones most likely to have the guns and be shooting people are the bad guys.
Yeah, but now
so
you have kids.
the wolf would have had the AK-47 first.
Now you have kids whose fairy tales involve, when you grow up, the formative years, fairy tales are an essential part of your growth and your formation as an identity
Which
and a
leads
human
us
being.
nicely to politics.
But now you're indoctrinating the kids with basically plagiarized works by the Grimm brothers or Charles Perrault, and you're inserting firearms into those fairy tales, making it look completely normal and acceptable for the characters in these books to have guns and defend themselves and kill the villain, shoot the villain with a gun. So this kid has a gun, there's a villain in the house, he's read all the fairy tales, he knows what to do.
But the villain had left the house.
Yeah, but he was still on the kid's property, and there is a
Stand your ground law.
there's a stand your ground law. Thank you very much. That essentially says that as long as that person is on your property, he is a threat to your person.
And I haven't read the fairy tales. Maybe in the fairy tales it says you have to chase the wolf. You have to chase the wolf and kill him.
Sure, yeah.
Well,
But my point is,
Doesn't do to just get away from
My point
it.
is, and it doesn't matter. I've been through the police training here where we're broadcasting.
People allow you to have firearms?
On what planet is an 11-year-old allowed to hold a Glock, let alone use the thing in an open space outside
This
when we
planet.
don't know where the bullets are going?
The planet of
This-
America.
So the
This-
defenders of this thing, which I'm
America.
beginning
very
to feel...
lucky nobody innocent died on that.
I agree. I
There's-
agree. I put it this way. Ultimately, I think this whole situation is atrocious. But there's the notion that you don't believe that this is possible is somehow lost by the fact that this is a typical situation. This is not even that far removed
no.
from. I just
That's
read a
what I'm getting
statistic.
at. It's amazing.
I just read a statistic that said like maybe 2,000 people a year are shot by their dog.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if their dog is Snoop Dogg, but hey, but no, I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, Jeremy, there's a cricket company that manufactures guns for little kids, 3 or 4 year old kids. So there's pink guns for girls and there's blue guns for boys, and those are advertised even on television, and parents are buying them as a birthday present to their 4-year-old kids. These are actual firearms that can kill people. You know, at the same time, we don't allow kids to drive a car until they're 16, but we allow them
And
to have
where
a
is
firearm.
it that you're not
Crazy,
allowed to
isn't it?
buy beer until you're 21?
Yeah.
But you can drive a main battle tank.
And at
Well, but
4,
that's
you
pretty
can have a
much-
gun.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Jesus.
there's a.
How many toddlers? There was a bizarre statistic last year. How many toddlers have killed or fired a firearm in the last year? It was insane. It was crazy. So, you know, we have a little bit of a problem, I think. But it's
I think
encouraged
we
by
have
the
a major
yeah.
problem. I think that it is asinine that we
Yeah.
can't get better legislation than what
Yeah.
we have right now to say, in order to have a gun, you have to
Yeah.
demonstrate that you
Yeah.
can be responsible.
And you
for
know
a
what's
gun.
truly asinine about the whole situation? That most of the country agrees with that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that we still can't get anything through.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, this was actually a happy story that you just said, because
It
in this
really
case,
is.
nobody was dead, and actually a bad guy was shot. How many times in the last year innocent children died, killed by their brothers or sisters, small brothers or sisters? And do you remember the girl with the AR-15 that shot her shooting instructor by mistake just because of the
Yeah.
gun kicked
Yeah.
and shot him on the spot and killed him? You know, and this happens all the time now.
Just to add a little bit of a twist on that. Well, the kid, this was in Alabama. The 11-year-old was a young white boy who quoted something about God at the end of it. I don't know what color the attacker was, but I'll bet you that if it had been a black kid and a white attacker, the kid would be in jail.
It could be Woodstock 47 years later, only the drug of choice might be antacid. A weekend concert event featuring some of the greatest musical acts of the 1960s, confirming weeks of rumours. Golden Voice Entertainment announced Tuesday that it's bringing together the top performers, really just from the 1960s, for a 3-day blowout in California's Coachella Desert. Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, The Who, Paul McCartney, Neil Young, Pink Floyd's Roger Waters, all on stage at the Empire Polo Club in India during an October weekend. It's every baby boomer's fantasy, except it's real. My question, when should supergroups call it a day? Because they don't have the voice or the strength anymore. So Roger Daltrey was doing his thing in Kansas City the other day. Not too brilliant, not too bad. But only Daltrey and Pete Townsend were there. It was billed as The Who. It wasn't. It was just Daltrey and Townsend. So I'm not talking about new bands like Coldplay and U2.
I thought you said
proper
new bands.
I did say new bands. New bands like Coldplay and U2, but proper bands like Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Rush, AC/DC, Genesis, Kiss and Co. ZZ Top and the girls from Heart still got what it takes. But what about these other guys? Isn't it time for them to retire?
I agree, because it was rather depressing watching the Rolling Stones at the Super Bowl and 70-something-year-old Mick Jagger jumping around and screaming, "I can't get no satisfaction." Well, of course you can't get no satisfaction. Dude, it's your prostate. And also, it was kind of ridiculous that they had actually banned anybody over the age of 40 of dancing around the stage on the Super Bowl Rolling Stones show. Are you freaking kidding me? Rolling Stones, the combined age of Rolling Stones is 400 years. I mean, these guys don't even go to the museum anymore because the alarm goes off if they try to leave. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous demand for them to have. And I think it's okay to continue playing, but you need to reinvent yourself. You can't jump around at this age and talk about teenage love and stuff like this. But what did the great blues musicians do? What did the great jazz musicians do? They reinvented themselves. Robert Plant has been playing non-stop, but he's reinventing himself. He's experimenting with North African music, with country music. Made an album with Alison Krauss. It's
You were going to say Kraftwerk, weren't you?
Kraftwerk didn't reinvent themselves, but
How could
what
they?
I'm saying is there's a way to grow even in your old age and continue to play. I saw John Lee Hooker a little bit before he died. He was just as powerful and incredible, but just was playing different kind of songs.
But Ivo, I think that there's a striking difference between those kinds of musicians and these bands that were mega
Built their
stars.
fame on-
They
yeah.
built their fame at a certain point and are essentially now doing nostalgia tours.
Yeah.
They're not being paid to be inventive. Although Paul McCartney just released a new album, he's not going to be playing that at that show.
They want him to play yesterday.
They want him to play yesterday, and I think that everything that you just said is true, except it doesn't really apply to what the people that are going to see Black Sabbath are looking for. You don't want to hear what Black Sabbath has to say about mutual funds at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing that if Paul McCartney now says, when I'm 64, it's going to be just wishful thinking.
When I was 64.
It's at this point anymore, and I'm completely with Lewis on it. It's all about nostalgia tours. Tell me if I'm wrong that you could probably charge $50 for a Paul McCartney concert if he was playing his new stuff, or the $250 each seat that they're getting now.
Yeah.
I believe it's going to be $350 to $400 a ticket.
Oh my!
I tell you what,
Yay.
I watched Roger Waters and his amazing spectacle, The Wall, at the Sprint Center when he was 70, and it was incredibly powerful and an amazing show and just incredible, elaborate, intricate production. His voice was stunning, everything was perfect, but that's a show that's kind of timeless. It's
Well,
a
I want to quote.
philosophical
I mean,
show.
it's Phil Collins was talking about this, and
Yeah.
he said one of the things is these guys go out, and he used the phrase, they weren't match ready. They're not. They think they can do it, but they
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
And so people leave pleased they've seen the band, but slightly disappointed because it didn't sound like they thought it was going to sound like.
Though, a lot of people pay this money for a different reason. They don't necessarily pay the money to hear their favorite musicians at their peak. But think about this. If you had a chance to listen to Frédéric Chopin play one of his famous piano concertos, would you care if he's off a little bit? Would you care if he has arthritis and he's just not as... No, you've been in the same room with Frédéric Chopin. You've been in the same room with history. And you'll be able to say, hey, I was under the same roof with this legend and I felt it, and I am honored to have been there. And probably that's why people want to see Roger Daltrey, and that's why people want to see Paul McCartney, so they can say, I was next to greatness for a moment,
Obama, apparently, you may not know this, but apparently Obama has a soft spot for homosexuals because of the years he spent as a male prostitute in his 20s.
Yeah.
That is how he paid for his drugs. Since he supports gay marriage, he should be proud of his background as a homosexual, bisexual, and he's against everything else Christians stand for, and he might as well be for infidelity. Speaking to Breitbart last month about her statements, the probable winner of a Texas Board of Education race says, I don't intend to apologize for my opinions because I believe my statements are accurate. So the scary bit is that this woman holds a Master of Education's degree from East Texas State University,
Who
has
doesn't?
worked as a teacher and counselor for 36 years and actually believes what she's saying. Now the issue
Could we
is
make
that
it clear that first paragraph of yours was actually in quotes? It's what she said.
it's what she said. Now what I'm getting at is the issue might be that most people in East Texas don't actually think Obama is gay or was a gay prostitute. Those kinds of comments are so outside the mainstream, but most people in the mainstream don't bother to go out and vote. And the people who vote in primaries are the conspiracy theorists. Maybe not all of them, but a good number of them. Now, what I'm getting at is isn't there an argument that all this stuff, and we hear it here in Kansas, and we hear it in Texas, and all sorts of other states, isn't it time that there was maybe a national or federal education policy, and that's it, based on facts? It's not based on religion.
I don't even know how that would work.
I don't know how it would work either, but it is clear that over the years, people have stopped getting trained in how to use their brains. Just as a general rule, people aren't doing it anymore.
Why do you say
think-
you don't know? I don't understand. Why wouldn't it work if there was a federal education policy?
Because then you have a standards board, and that standards board would then have to decide on what is fact and what is not. We can't get our act together on global warming. We can't get our act together on gun safety. We can't get our act together on, you name the topic. There's nothing that we can't find a good, healthy amount of partisan bickering.
Well, thank God we're going to have Trump as president.
And-
That should take care of it all.
And I would like to say, as someone who just recently came out of the public school system in Lawrence, despite it being quite a good one, I am one who thinks that the public school system, as it currently is not up to state, because if you set a national set of standards for public schooling, you then get issues of kids moving along at different rates, because kids learn at different rates, and this is what a lot of teachers have been trying to say for years, that a set system of public education doesn't work, because you're disinteresting the kids who can move a lot faster and making it way too hard for the kids who move along slower. You're trying to set it at a midpoint that's ideal for some kids and will leave a ton of others left in the wayside for what they can
But
achieve.
how do you deal with people who are saying the teachers will say that climate change has nothing to do with weather, or slavery is not the reason for the Civil War, or the assassination of President Kennedy was to do with socialists and the Democratic Party? How do you deal with that?
So we're going to base throwing out an entire education system that would be so much better for the advancement in learning in education of so many different kinds of kids, by a system that would help a lot of kids, primarily myself, because I found myself getting bored in school way too much because it wasn't moving fast enough for me, because we're worried about a couple of insane teachers.
No, it's not just a couple of insane teachers.
No, because
there are lots of big
these
problems.
are teachers that are way on the
No, I'm
outside
talking
of the
about
mainstream.
textbooks here. Okay? These are the people who influence what textbooks get bought by most of America. Because the Board of Education in Texas sets what the textbooks have to be. They are such a big buyer that that's what gets published, and that's what other people have to use. This is not just one state. This is the entire country.
And right now, it is pretty fair to say that the nut jobs are pushing the agenda. Mm-hmm. They
Because-
have a vested interest in making sure that some facts get taught and some facts do not.
Right.
By the way, that woman making those statements publicly is opening herself for a lawsuit and defamation of character based on completely unsubstantiated statements. And I've rarely seen more thick-skinned person than our president. This guy, he's awesome. He doesn't
Forgiving.
care. You can say whatever you want. He'll just laugh it off, and that's the best way to
Not
deal with
like
it.
our next president, though.
No.
It's
Hillary is
it makes
pretty
me-
good about that.
That's
I suppose coming from the UK, I don't understand why the country, because they call it America. It's a country, but it's made up of 50 different countries.
no
States.
states,
Yeah.
It's made up
but
of
states
50
aren't
different-
countries.
Well, that's a good point.
I try.
Well,
Well-
this is because you're so wise.
Wow.
Texas might beg to differ.
Yeah, Texas wants to be its
Texas
own
with
country.
their amazing Board of Education and East Texas State University. Is that Texas A&M, by the way? East Texas State University.
I don't know.
I think they're different.
They keep promising to secede and never carrying through.
I thought it was hilarious when they were talking about seceding and that they didn't want the military, and then when things got bad, they wanted the military. It does seem very bizarre to people from different countries at how the people who live in America behave. They get very upset about things, and then they're very accepting of it, Why can't we have a wall?
Yeah.
I
Well,
want a
put it this
wall.
way, I am
We
sure.
like Pink Floyd's wall.
I am sure that Donald Trump has had worse ideas. I'm not sure that I know of any of them. But philosophically, I am still not convinced that border security in and of itself is a bad thing, and I've not heard any arguments that have yet dissuaded me of that.
We have not reached the stage yet to have no borders. We have not grown enough as a race to remove all borders.
Why are
One
you
day,
bringing race into this? No.
human race.
But he's not talking about
Human
borders.
race.
He's talking about a physical wall, which is going to do worse than useless. It's not even
No,
what
no,
the Border
I agree.
Patrol wants.
I agree.
So he's not talking about whether we have borders or not. He's just doing something that makes headlines. That's all.
Yeah, but I think that at least for the podcast, I think it's important to delineate that there is a difference between those two, and I think that one of the more genius things that Donald Trump does is that he conflates that notion of
Sure.
internal security and this physical wall that he's making, and because nobody is really making that distinction, nobody is forcing him to make that distinction, it continues.
Oh, I know. It's going to do wonders for the world of pole vaulting. It's going to foster fantastic new athletes.
Now, Mr. Evo, we get to the stage. We're doing.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, after you.
No, I just
No, I mean,
I
the
just
wiseness.
had a-
Gasped when you called him Mr. Evo.
Yes, I always thought he was a girl.
Yes.
Had a big gulp of vodka there.
Yeah.
By the way, Lewis is drinking straight vodka.
Have you come up with any? Because I know you spend a lot of time in the car, and this allows the pheromones to work.
Oh, yeah.
Have you come up with any new inventions while I've been in England for the last 10 days?
Oh, I've kind of had an invention on my mind for the last couple of years.
Have you?
Because, I haven't developed it yet. But you know what's really sexy, and I wouldn't call it necessarily an invention, but I was thinking about how sexy the apps are, the mobile apps. You know what an app is, mobile app.
An app, yes.
App, a mobile application for your phone, for your cell phone, and those things have just exploded. There's a fountain of apps every day coming out, and guys, you won't believe it, but people are making ridiculous money off of apps.
Really?
Ridiculous money. You can make one app. For example, there was a guy on Shark Tank. He had an app that you put your phone like this on the table,
Right.
and the app sends a signal to the phone, and it takes a picture and it spins it a little bit. It vibrates and the phone spins on the table. And at the end, it makes a 360 turn and stitches a panoramic picture of wherever you are. He made tens of millions of dollars with this one app. It took him probably one day to write the program, and it's a great source of income. And so I was thinking about the following app, which has not been invented, by the way. Think about it. It's not been invented.
But we
We
do
have-
hold, by the way, just before you open your
Yeah.
mouth, that the copyright of this show is actually held with
Yeah.
Wednesday Night Undressed.
Once something is spoken on
Yeah.
the show, it's basically automatically gets licensed
It's
and
ours,
trademarked. Yes.
And the very wise,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
very wise
Yeah.
Mr. Orlando
yeah.
will sue.
Yeah, well, we have a legal department.
Yeah. We do.
So it's an app.
Thousands and thousands of lawyers.
Yes.
Thousands of them with an F.
Yeah.
So let's have it.
So here's the app. We have a lot of legislators in Congress now and in the Senate, right? There's a logistical problem because ever since Citizens United, basically contributions to campaigns have been legalized, unlimited.
Yeah.
It's a it's a pool that has not been tapped. And now what's becoming very fashionable is wearables. Do you know what wearables are?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you wear technology, you guys.
Oh, right,
you
yeah.
wear technology. What my app is very simple. And the technology already exists off the shelf. We just have to put it together. So we have a barcode or better yet, QR code. QR code is quick reading code. You've seen those things. You scan them with your phone.
Yeah, the little picture-like things. Yeah.
Information is sent to your phone. You can make automatic withdrawals. My app is called Scanator. senator. What we have is senators on their suits. They have specific senatorial suits. They have a little code, QR code, doesn't even have to be visible. It could be stitched in. It could be dark colored so you don't see it. Then a contributor or a lobbyist can just come with my app loaded in his mobile device and can just scan the senator's suit, and an automatic withdrawal from the lobbyist account goes straight to the account of the senator. Now, this is the free app. This is for free. Now, for $199, you get Scannator Plus. You know, because Scannator Plus makes a withdrawal of the desired contribution straight from the contributor, from the lobbyist's account, and goes to an offshore Panamanian account of your choice. It's a proxy account, untraceable. This for $199. Guys, we're onto something. We're gonna make a lot of money. Remember one word, Scannator.
Scannator.
Yes.
Scannator.
Okay, so
Oh,
Kathleen,
yes.
what did we miss in the news media this week?
Oh,
what words
well,
were missing?
did you notice the headline
Into the
about?
microphone, dear. Thank
Did you did you notice the headline about the neighbors? Here's the headline. It's missing one word. Neighbors unimpressed with blank trying to pass as hotels.
Neighbours were unimpressed.
Unimpressed with blank trying to pass as hotels.
Cars.
Toll booths.
Tars, toll booths. No. Morgues.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of
morgues.
it's kind of hotel for dead people.
It is, yeah. This is Japan. This is Japan, and they are short on space.
I do know.
So
in
they're disguising
Wimbledon
morgues
in,
as hotels.
In London, that people rent out their gardens, so other people can have tents in the gardens, and you're allowed to come into the house to use the facilities, right? But you use restaurants for eating, and all you have to do is sleep in the tent, and they're making a small fortune by renting out tents in
Maybe
their
you
gardens.
could rent out
Let's
tents
have
as
another one.
morgues.
Let's have another one. You got another one?
Yeah, I got another
Okay.
one. Now you can get pizza in a pizza box made out of
Pizza.
Everybody knows that one. Yes.
I thought for a moment you might say bacon.
Yeah. Well, we wondered what you'd put the pizza box pizza in.
Bacon.
Yeah.
Last one. before
This
the
is
very wise.
Kansas City. Firefighters are happy to rescue 12 blank stuck inside elevator.
Oh, in an elevator.
Dogs.
Yeah, firefighters rescuing 12 what's stuck inside an elevator.
How about ducks?
Ducks?
Ducks is a good guess.
Ducks.
Because of
Ducks.
Memphis.
I'm gonna say
Duck-sized horses.
puppies.
No, it's much funnier than that. It's police officers.
Oh.
Yes, a bunch of
Oh.
police officers on a training course got stuck. They were training for special operations. They got stuck
That is
inside an
actually
elevator.
quite scary, isn't it?
There's
when you
12
have
of
a
them in one elevator. and
special ops team gets stuck in an elevator.
Oh my God.
They had to call the fire department.
The fire department to
Okay,
deliver
and-
emergency donuts.
Okay, and let us ask the very wise Dr. Orlando what the word is for this week. Dr. Orlando.
Brothers and sisters, we are brought here today to learn a new word. Our word today is windrow.
WINDROW.
Yes.
That's what you look through.
WINDROW.
A windrow.
Okay.
Windrow.
A windrow.
The choices are a clear-skinned elf,
Or see-through elf.
Okay.
a row of hay, or windows for the tiny homes.
Oh.
I'm gonna go with a row of hay.
I'm going for a row of hay.
I think it was a windbreak in an agricultural meaning. But
It is actually a row of hay. It is
Yeah.
actually a row of hay that's been set out to dry.
Oh,
A windrow.
okay.
Oh,
Very,
of
very
course.
good.
Well, I'll be using that
got
one
it
all
all.
the time.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you've been listening to Wednesday Night Undressed. Sound and editing by Neil Rasmussen and Eric Holcomb. Tom Conroy, of course, for letting us do this every week. You must try his steak fries, and for running probably the coolest pub in the region. From me, your host, Jeremy Taylor, I should say, I think you're rather naughty for listening, but we will see you next week here on Wednesday Night Undressed.com.
Yeah.
Okay, let him wipe out blank.